Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're learning German, you absolutely know this feeling. Figuring out adjective endings and cases can honestly feel like playing the world's most frustrating guessing game. You've got the vocabulary down, right? But stringing it together with the exact right endings, yeah, that's where things get super tricky. But hey, I've got some fantastic news for you. It's actually not random at all. In fact, it's a highly logical code, and it's literally just waiting to be cracked. So today, we're going to demystify this entire system. We're going to use some incredibly clear, structured grammar rules, and we'll break down these patterns step by step. By the end of this, no more guessing. You're going to be decoding. All right, so here is our roadmap for cracking the code today. We're going to start with the adjective ending code, then move right into the accusative shift, and see exactly how verbs direct traffic. After that, we'll unlock the dative case, explore articles and pronouns, and finally wrap up with an epic accusative versus dative showdown. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The adjective ending code.
Okay, so before we start moving things around, we really need to establish a solid baseline of confidence. I want you to think of the nominative case as your dictionary form. It's just the subject existing in its natural, everyday state. When we use words like a or an, the adjective steps up to the plate to show us the gender. Take a masculine dog, for example. Ein großer Hund gets that ER ending. A feminine flower, ein rote Blume, takes an E. A neuter car, ein kleines Auto, gets an S. And for plural books, keine neuen Bücher gets an EN. See? They just neatly snap right into place. That is our foundation.
Okay, let's really dive into this. Nouns don't just sit around doing nothing forever, right? So, what happens when we take action? What happens when our sentence shifts from just passively naming a thing to actually doing something to that thing?
Section 2. The accusative shift.
Now, what's really interesting about this next bit is that it's the first major plot twist of our grammar story. We've got our nominative baseline, ein großer Hund, just hanging out, minding his own business. But the second that noun becomes a direct object receiving an action, boom, we get an accusative shift. Notice that absolutely crucial transformation there. Ein becomes einen, and the adjective takes an en. This masculine shift is literally the hallmark of the accusative case. If we look at this master pattern, it completely proves that the masculine gender is the only troublemaker we have to deal with here. It changes from in the nominative to en in the accusative. But check out the feminine, neuter, and plural rows. They stay exactly the same. Feminine is neuter is s, and plural is n. Guys, if you just remember that only the masculine shifts in the accusative, you instantly cut your memorization work by like 75%. How great is that?
Section 3. Verbs direct the traffic.
So what's actually triggering this change? Well, I want you to think of verbs as the traffic cops of the German language. They're out there directing a noun exactly into the case it has to go. Direct action verbs like haben, sehen, kaufen, lieben, brauchen, they point traffic straight into the accusative lane. If you see something like ich sehe den Lehrer, or you buy something, wir kaufen einen Kaffee, the action is going directly from the subject right into that accusative object. We've pretty much mastered direct objects now. But what happens when that traffic cop verb points us down a completely different road? Like, what happens when a verb demands a different case entirely, regardless of whether it feels like a direct object to us in English? Well, welcome to the boss level.
Section 4. Unlocking the dative case. So the dative case is all about the receiver of an action. It's the person or the thing that's benefiting from or receiving whatever is happening. Because of this, dative verbs are highly interpersonal. If you're helping someone, thanking someone, or congratulating them, helfen, danken, gratulieren, these verbs strictly demand the dative case, no exceptions. So it's not ich helfe den Mann with an N, no way. It's ich helfe dem Mann with an M. The man is the actual receiver. We danken der Frau. We thank the woman.
So the crucial point here is that sometimes verbs actually require both cases at once. These are our double object verbs like schreiben for write or senden for send. Think about the actual mechanics of writing. You write something to someone. The something, the letter, the message, that takes the direct action, so it's accusative. But the someone who's receiving it, they take the dative. Ich schreibe dem Lehrer eine Nachricht. I write the teacher a message. Honestly, once you start visualizing the flow of the action like that, it makes perfect sense.
Section 5. Dative articles and pronouns. Let's move to this next part and see how it builds step by step. Now that we know which verbs force the dative case, how do our words actually change to match it? Well, for definite articles, the masculine and neuter der and das, they both merge into dem.
The feminine die does something kind of surprising and shifts to der. And for plurals, die becomes den. Plus, and don't forget this, you usually add an extra n onto the very end of the noun itself. It's not arbitrary, it's a highly logical mechanical procedure. And we're going to apply that exact same procedural logic to indefinite articles. For masculine and neuter, ein becomes einem. Notice that m ending popping up again. For feminine, eine becomes einer. Ich schreibe einem Kollegen or ich danke einer Kollegin. Whenever you hear that m or r ending, that's your instant cue that you are sitting squarely in the dative case. Naturally, our pronouns have to shift too. Ich becomes mir, du becomes dir, becomes ihm. Let's bring back that double object verb from earlier. If he is sending a file to me, we'd say, sendet mir die Datei. The action of sending acts directly on the file, die Datei, but the actual receiver of that file is me, mir.
Section 6. Accusative versus dative showdown.
All right, it is time to bring everything we've learned together and prove we've cracked this code. Let's contrast these two ideas. Over here in Ich sehe den Mann, the verb sehen is a direct action. Because Mann is masculine, we get that very distinct accusative ending, den Mann. But over on the other side, with Ich helfe dem Mann, helfen is interpersonal. It dictates a receiver which completely demands the dative case, and that transforms the article into dem Mann with an M. It's the exact same subject, exact same noun, but a totally different case, all because the verb directed the traffic. Let's reinforce that pattern with one final showdown. Sie kauft einen Stift. She is buying a pen. It's a direct action, right? So the masculine accusative gives us einen. Compare that directly to wir gratulieren dir. We congratulate you. Congratulating is an interpersonal dative verb, so we take the pronoun du, apply our dative shift, and bam, it becomes dir. Just take a second to look at what we've accomplished here today. That totally random guessing game of German adjective endings and cases, it's gone. In its place, you've got a master pattern. You know the baseline nominative endings. You know that only the masculine gender shifts in the accusative. You completely understand that verbs act like traffic tops, with direct verbs pointing straight to the accusative and interpersonal receivers pointing to the dative. And you know exactly how to shift your articles and pronouns to match. So, the only real question left to ask is, are you ready to apply these cracked patterns in your next German conversation? Tape these new tools, step out there with confidence, and start decoding the language in real time. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy learning.